How's it going, everyone? My name's Graham. Welcome to Two Left Thumbs. I like to do one of these videos once a year where I kind of summarize my year on YouTube, and this ended up being a year that I didn't spend a lot of time on YouTube. So this is going to be unpacking my year in a few different ways, but largely in ways that were more personal. Not really dramatically so, not in any like concerning sort of way, but just ways that I chose to spend time on myself instead of spending time online, and why I think that was probably for the better, and why that may inform a lot of decisions moving forward that I make online, on YouTube, or otherwise. The last video I did like this was a year ago, almost to the day, and it was a point in time where I'd kind of reevaluated where I was at on YouTube and was not really happy with how I was running the channel, and I was making decisions kind of based on fear of what would perform well, or what would grow the audience, or what would build into the next thing, or what's checking off boxes of what I thought people would like. And so 2024 was really about just getting in there. If I had an idea, just fire off a video, get it done, put it out there, and try not to second guess it too much. The 10 best games on Newgrounds of the previous year was a really fun format of video. I liked putting that together, it wasn't too difficult, and it was something I really enjoyed talking about. So that's probably going to be the next video on this channel, is me doing that again for 2024. I've also debated maybe doing it as like a throwback thing where I do 2024 and like 2004 at the same time. But like, I don't know, I'm undecided on that. I think it's a fun idea, but I don't know if I want to just spend a bunch of time doing that type of video. It was straightforward, and it was a nice little way for me to pay respects to a site that I love more than any other. Increasingly, as every other site on this entire internet that we all share continues to get worse and worse, Newgrounds continues to get better and better. So it's just like the only good site left, and I'll sing its praises forever and ever. And another part of doing YouTube is it just is fundamentally, at its core, selfish for me. It has long since been at a place where it's, properly paying the bills. Like, it was a very narrow window where I made my income exclusively on YouTube, and then I immediately started the publishing label, and I had to offload resources, time, effort over to that. And, other people are counting on me, and I want to do right by them. So that's when I'm doing work, usually I'm putting it over there. And time I have left over, a couple hours in the day, that's when I can start circling back to YouTube. But I try to integrate the two when I can. So I did a video on the many different versions of Fancy Pants, as that keeps getting re-released and remastered and all these different things. So I did a video on that. 7 best Flash platformers, same thing. It was kind of like a low-key tie-in to an upcoming game for William and Sly. But especially for ones like that second one, or just a couple months after that, 10 great hidden gem indie deck builders. I think people can sniff out that it's, it's a backdoor advertisement. I don't try to hide that, and I try to make the videos stand on their own and to talk about a bunch of things that I have no involvement in, so I'm giving and sharing in ways that don't directly benefit me. But that style of video doesn't seem to do that well, so I don't know. I'm undecided if I'm going to do much more of that in the future. Probably dabble a little here and there. I did the Hidden Cat Games video, which I think initially people were like, you're overreacting, this isn't a problem. And then whatever it was, like a couple months later, Steam completely changed how their front page works to have a separate slot for free games because of the way these games and others like them were abusing the system. I don't think I directly influenced that decision. I think it was like an amalgamation of hundreds, if not thousands, of people telling them that there was an issue here, not necessarily specifically the cat games one. That was just like a very easy to observe example of it. But I thought that was kind of interesting. That video started to catch on, Steam responded, and now the video kind of dropped off because it's not very applicable anymore. But I feel like I kind of noticed a trend a little early there, and that's interesting. It made for kind of a cool video. And I think because I was kind of in the mindset of making these videos about Steam trends and kind of talking about the larger indie game space at that time, I made one on someone who I'm not going to name drop, who had, at the time, over 10,000 negative reviews on Steam. They basically exclusively leave negative reviews. At this point, I don't know what they're up to. They write 30 negative reviews a day or something. Like, they clearly are just spending a lot of time on that. And I think the mistake I made is calling them out by name. I just figured they're a public channel user on Steam putting out their nastiness, and so I didn't think it was that out of line to call them out by name and say, I disagree with this person's approach, I don't like how they review games, and they clearly are just dedicating their life to being hateful for no good reason. It was kind of experimental for me, because I really did kind of just rant for a couple hours and then trim it down to about 25 minutes, and I thought the end result of the video was quite good. I was pretty proud of it. But that person immediately summoned their following and started to try and blow it back on me, and was for a good week or two, I was like, no, this needed to be said. Them being angry at me just reinforced this resolve that I was like, they needed to be called out. But then, a week or two goes on, and it's not contributing anything. It's not changing their behavior. It wasn't saying anything that people couldn't already see for themselves. It was an interesting video, but it wasn't adding anything to anywhere. The world was not a better place because of that video. And if anything, it just gave me a little peek behind the curtain that if you just make angry content about other angry people, we all see those drama videos that get farmed out 3 times a week or whatever that are just trying to stir you up into a rage. And it was the closest I've ever come to that. And even just at a glancing blow, it's like, oh, this is the worst. This is the worst of the internet. And I'm not interested in playing around in that space, It's kind of like that idea that if you're flinging shit back and forth, then the only thing you're going to accomplish is everyone's covered in shit. It's just, there's not a good result from that, right? And so I just ended up taking it down fully eventually, because I was like, this sucks. This is not who I want to be. I thought it was interesting, and I liked how I presented the video, but it steered into a direction I didn't like, and I have no interest in chasing. There's plenty of room for criticism on the internet, and I think that's valuable and should exist. But if someone's just out there just being a jerk, then pointing that out didn't do anything good. The first weekend for Friday Night Funkin' came out. I jumped on that literally as quickly as I could. That was a 24-hour turnaround. It came out. I think there were some server issues early on, but by the morning, it was all playable and I was digging into it, scripted it out, recorded it, edited it. It's a 12-minute video, but it still took an entire full day. And right now it's sitting at 70,000 views. Pretty good, I guess. When Friday Night Funkin' is fully released and more stuff comes out, I'll probably continue to talk about it. But it doesn't compare to the crazy viral 2 million views in a single day that I had for the week. Was it 5 to 7 video? That was insane. I've never experienced that level of virality before or after. And so I was kind of curious, if I get to this first, really quick, really early on, can I recapture that? And I don't know, maybe my thumbnail sucked or whatever, but the answer was kind of no. So maybe the crest has passed for Friday Night Funkin'. Those guys are Newgrounders. They are always paying tribute to all things Newgrounds. So inevitably I will cover more stuff for their game. But I'll probably wait now. Rushing it out didn't seem to benefit or anything. Again, it was just an interesting experiment. I was just trying things kind of all year. The best performing video, other than old classics that continue to pull in crazy amounts of views, was my Flash Games Are Back video. And I'm really excited. I'm so excited that video was the one that performed well, because it's something that's really important to me, and I assume people could feel that, and so just another one of those little lessons that the closer something is to my heart and the more I have to say on the subject, then it seems to resonate with people better. And so, I want to use that as a bit of a guiding light while still playing around and just making whatever the hell I want. I did get a lot of comments asking me why I drew the 2024 version of Flash with a big old package. I didn't draw that. It came from a really popular video back in the day from Alan Awesome called My Newgrounds, talking about his role on the site and what the site meant to him, and it spawned a whole bunch of people doing really similar types of videos. And I kind of knew people wouldn't know or recognize that, but paired with the official dead Swift file Newgrounds Blam thing, I was like, well, I need like a strong, robust version of a Swift file. And that one immediately came to mind because I loved that video back in the day. I tried to make my own and it failed miserably. I just wasn't good enough to pull it off the way that it existed in my mind, so I never finished it. But that came to mind for me right away, and I didn't expect so many people to comment on it, but it's really funny for me. But then that's kind of the cutoff. So that's May, you know, we're 5 months into the year. 4 months for me, kind of starting from when I got over the holiday break to like getting back into videos. I dusted off a couple videos and cleaned them up for the Two Left Frames channel, but only like 2 because they were kind of big undertakings and they took a while. So like I took my time with those. So something like 10 videos done in 5 months, which is I think the target I set for myself. If I was putting out a video every other week, I was happy with that. That felt like a nice, reasonable goal and something quite achievable. And I was working towards that. It was going really well. Then in June, right around June, I want to say, is when I went and visited a friend who had lived in the same city as me. We met in college and then had lived in the same city for a good 14 years. So like one of my best friends, and he moved away not all that long ago. So I wanted to go out and visit him. And that was just like an opportunity to be away for a couple weeks and do my own thing. We like road tripped out there. It was awesome. It was great. It was a ton of fun seeing him. And I think that was, I'm trying to kind of map this out for myself a little bit too. He has always been one of the most fit people I know, and he's a huge advocate for physiotherapy. And I've been doing some physiotherapy on and off for an old shoulder injury that spawns to when I broke my collarbone when I was like 7 years old. So, you know, then your arm is pulled forward in a sling for, it was like 2 months. And I've had shoulder issues my entire life as a result. And it kind of, to me, just seemed like, just didn't heal very well. I guess that sucks. I guess I'll just learn to live with it or whatever. Like I had kind of just resigned myself to it. But he's such an advocate for taking physiotherapy seriously. And he recommended someone that I should go see. And so I like a shoulder specialist, basically, that he had worked with or knew in some way. So I went and saw her, and it was immediately more helpful than any other physio consultation I've ever had. Gave me a pretty simple string of exercises that I started doing on and off, not that consistently, but it didn't take long to start feeling the improvements, which was very encouraging. Started putting more and more time into it. And then really quickly, things just like, I'm trying to think of how to explain it. Just like, you know, it was just this right angle change for me where like tiny little incremental improvements to like, oh my God, everything is so much better so quickly. I'd been going to the gym at the time too. And the one day I just, between every set, I couldn't help it. I was just rolling my shoulder, moving it, stretching it out. Like I just couldn't stop. Like it was clearly something going on there, and it wasn't painful because usually I can like, and if I did that too much, like literally I can't throw overhand. I still kind of can't. I can better now, but I used to have to throw sidearm. I just learned how to do that since I was like 7 because my shoulder was just so messed up, and certain activities and things would just aggravate my shoulder, or if I slept on it stupid, then it would just kind of be out of commission for like a day or two. Like it just, my shoulder has always been so messed up, and like something was clearly going on there. And then that evening, after like a full day of nonstop doing like really casual stretches filled in with the physio and kind of just using like doorways and things, like it just felt like something was going on there and I just couldn't stretch it enough. And then all at once, something moved, and it moved into a range of motion I don't think my arm has accessed in 25 years. And like I almost went like limp. I think I kind of did like a like it was so sudden, and like it was like my shoulder, but at the same time it was like my full body, and I kind of didn't know what happened, and I was a little bit scared for a second. And then I kind of got these like pins and needles up my arm, up my neck, across my face, and strongly across my jaw. And then like touching my face, like I could just feel tension releasing, like just from like touching. And then all along my cheeks, it was just, this tension was like melting away. So my arm had been like pulled forward in a way that muscles had developed because I was so young. And I don't know, kids just rebound from injuries, right? And I was running around and playing sports and having fun and things, so I don't think anyone ever questioned it. But I had specific tight muscles, like things are overly contracted, things are overly extended, like in such a way that became all tense and messed up. And so to compensate, the surrounding muscles start doing things they're not supposed to, and they get all tense and locked up. And then as soon as that happens, it just ripples and ripples and ripples to the point that starting from my shoulder, it basically became like chest up, every single muscle in my body, including like little micro muscles in your face and under your eyes and like next to your ears and on your scalp. And all of that has been tense for like 25 years in a way that I was not aware of. And so like as I'm these, like the surface level easiest to get at stuff is melting away. That took only a couple days, but then like I start pressing a little harder and it's like, oh my God, my cheeks are concrete. I've like was not even aware of the fact that a cheek was supposed to feel different to the touch. It's like rock hard. And the more I started pressing at it, working at it, it's like melting all that away. So then working through my jaw, my cheeks, as that stuff starts loosening, then all of a sudden all the stuff in my head is like able to be massaged and worked out. And then it started to kind of work down to like my neck and things like that. But it's kind of this interesting thing. Like I'm going the opposite direction of how it grew tight, because I think that's like the thing that had most recently become tight. So it's the easiest to undo. But as you start working through your face and then start working through your neck, loosening these muscles, then it starts revealing things back up in the face. So like I've been massaging myself, my body, different things, doing physio for like 7 straight months. And still to this day, at least once a day, will work through some crazy knot that like is like audible. It like makes my jaw crack in a way that is hard to describe. I've had all these chronic things for like my entire life. If people go back to videos, I'm doing it so absent-mindedly that it's probably hard to even like notice, but like I'm kind of like pushing out my jaw and like waggling it and things because it's just, I don't know why, I just felt like I had a bad messed up jaw, which I attributed to some really brutal orthodontics I had as a kid. I had to have braces like more than once. And so I was like, yeah, of course I have a bad jaw. Why wouldn't I? But then I would have like tension where like the only way to relieve it was to kind of push on like the orbital socket there. And if I pushed just right, then it would like make my jaw click and it would feel better. Or like, I didn't really do it because it's better now, but I used to be able to like snap my elbow in like the most disgusting way on such a regular basis, like multiple times a day. Oh, possibly one of the craziest things was my smile changed as I'm working through all that tension up there that is so deeply set in my cheekbones. Like right around there is like a crazy place where that kind of like concentrates to the point that like still to this day, I work through something tight in my neck and then my jaw or cheek kind of like pop because it's like working through tense stuff up there. There's not a better way to describe it. But as all that loosened up, especially on the one side, I want to say it was on the left, it like there was a limit to how far that could pull, right? Because it was just tight wall of muscle. And as that loosened up, where the corners of my smile reached changed. And so looking at myself in the mirror for like a couple days weirded me out. It felt different and it looked different. And so that it was a bit of a mind melting thing. And then it doesn't take very long for you to just become fully used to it again. But like, my God, did that one ever weird me out. It's innumerable, the amount of micro little things. I really commonly would describe to people this tension that I felt basically from my neck up to my head, that the only way I could picture was to build some sort of device that would hold my neck. It's going to sound really terrible, but like, and then basically let the weight of my body hang from that. Obviously not hanging, but like pulling in a way that would extend my neck and relieve that tension. It was the only way I could think to describe it to people. And anytime I said that, they would look at me like, that's shouldn't be like that. I don't know what you're saying, man. That's not how the body works. And I'd be like, I know that. I know. I don't know what I'm asking for. I'm hoping some masseuse someday can help me. But anytime I've ever gone for a massage in my life, or anytime, your friends are doing like a massage train, I got the same reaction every time. You have the stiffest shoulders I've ever touched. And then I'd be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. My shoulders are bad. And then the massage would do nothing, because I think you can't work through a knot in a muscle that is in the middle. Like, shoulder, then up to here, neck and head, like working in the middle is not going to do anything, because everything on either side of it is so locked up and so tight that you're not actually, nothing is there to like work through. And so that massages just never did anything for me. But then consulting with my physiotherapist, she booked me with like a deep tissue masseuse who's helping me work through things in like reverse order. And it's, oh my God, it hurts, but it's unbelievable. I've never felt such relief in my life. I don't wish all of this on anyone, yet at the same time, I wish everyone could experience what it's like to have that near daily relief of undoing multiple decades of tightness. Like, it's insane. But there's no real good way to demonstrate, but like, there's still so much stuff that's like locked up in my neck that I haven't even really gotten my shoulders or my back, which like, that's another thing. I threw out my back really commonly, but it was always on the side. My shoulder, my collarbone was broken, and it's become really apparent that it's just connected. It's just connected directly to that busted up shoulder. And so like, once I started working through all that, it became obsessive. Like, I was working stretching and things for like hours per day, because how could I not, when it felt that good and was directly benefiting me in such measurable ways. God, I'm talking about it more than I plan to. The craziest one was working through this thing in the back of my neck that let me kind of straighten my head up in a way that I don't think I really had in a long time, and it cracked my sternum so loudly. And when it happened, instinctively I just breathed in like it was, oh my God, like what just happened? But it was the deepest breath I've ever taken in my entire life. My nose is like 10% plugged right now or something, but I have never in my life been able to do a full breath cycle through my nose. Like, I could always like do one but not the other. I would become short-winded if I breathed through my nose for too long. And so I never really knew what that was. I thought lung capacity, cardio, whatever. Basically, my physiotherapist said my like ribs and chest were so locked up that I was losing lung capacity. And so working through that opened that back up. I had only learned like a year ago about the idea of tongue posture. If you've never heard it, when your mouth is closed at rest, your tongue should be on the roof of your mouth. Mine never was. And I was like, well, I don't know. I just don't have that, I guess. And I think it was because of tightness in my neck and things. Now it just does it naturally, and I breathe so much more easily. But I never had like asthma or issues that would be diagnosable or things that you would treat in any way. So like, I don't know, I just didn't breathe well, and I never thought anything of it. And all of it stems from an injury from when I was a child. And I feel like I'm losing the plot a little bit, but the main takeaway is that became the remainder of my year. It just became so apparent to me, the lack of maintenance I've done on my life. I have a very sedentary desk job. I try to go to the gym, I try and do things, but I never stretched, I never worked on any of that, or at least not in like the meaningful ways that would have been helping undo things just get worse and worse day by day by day for 25 years. That's just not something that I had ever worked towards. And as you get older and you start having more common injuries and like your body struggles in new ways or whatever, it was just like, well, I want to work on this. I don't want to wake up when I'm 40 and have like a hunchback, which is kind of the direction I was headed. And when I first started physio, I was like, I want to work on my shoulder, but I also want to work on my posture and like some other things. And right away she was like, well, when we work on the shoulder, it'll be everything. Like it'll fix your posture. And I kind of didn't believe her, but it's insane. It's insane the difference it's made. So in some way, this is a bit of a PSA for anyone listening. Take that stuff seriously. Leaving an injured shoulder untreated resulted in every physical difficulty I've ever had. It all stemmed from that. I'm sure there's other small minor things like a knee or whatever that would be unrelated, but like the majority of things that were difficult for me day to day, like the waggling the jaw and stuff, I did that basically hourly. The tightness in my head, that would be like daily. My shoulder acting up probably once or twice a week or whatever. Like all these things that I was suffering with, I use the term a little flippantly there. Like it was not debilitating, but it was constant. It was all the time. It was at least some of it was daily, and the worst of it was like weekly, and it would have just kept getting worse. And so as soon as I dealt with that, it kind of opened up just the floodgates a little bit for me of like, okay, well, if I'm doing this bad a job of doing physical upkeep on myself, then I'm probably letting myself down in other important ways. And so it really shifted my entire outlook on how I was living my life, how much focus I was putting on work, and just bad habits in general. And so the back half of the year, I stepped way off of YouTube, basically just decided I will commit my efforts to focusing on publishing stuff, because those are commitments I've made to other people, and so I want to show up for them, and I don't want to let them down. But like my Let's Play channel, right? I was pulling that back together, finished my Fear and Hunger 2 playthrough, and was like, I got a whole line of games I want to be playing. I'm going to be playing games daily all year. And it was just like, nah, I don't have time for that. Rather than sitting down and playing a game for a couple hours, I'm going to go do stretches and like work on myself. And so 2024 just went from like this ambitious year of these big plans of things I wanted to do on YouTube to just being a year of working on myself. And I don't regret a single second that I traded that off. Because like I said, it's like daily that I'm still working through major, insane tightnesses and things and feeling that relief. And so like, 25 years of tightness, it's going to take like years of physio and deep massage and constant stretching to work through. And I'm like excited for the prospect of one day getting that back. The range of mobility I have is like unbelievable compared to where that was at. So it's ranting about that's going to take up the majority of the video because I don't know what else to talk about. That was everything. I also, as I'm trying to rebalance my schedule a little bit, I started to try and play more games for myself and do things like that. My partner and I, we played like 250 hours of Baldur's Gate. We like did a full playthrough together and then started a second one. We're in the middle of it. I didn't record a second of it. I have no interest in it. Like, it's just for us. There was a time where I would have insisted on recording that so I could make 200 videos worth of content or whatever. And it's like, I don't care. That's just for us. We're just having fun. It had crossed my mind of doing a video on Two Left Frames. That was like, reviewing every movie I saw this year in 60 seconds or less. And I was like, I don't want to turn every movie I watch into to be in the mindset of like, what would I give this rating wise? What's the funny little thing that I could say in a short little video? Like Letterboxd already does that a little bit. It makes you think through movies in a way that I know a lot of people disagree with. I have friends who like won't use it. So like, I don't want to rate movies I watch. Like I just want to watch it and enjoy it for what it was. And I think I have a perspective that allows me to kind of do both. There's a part of me that enjoys the process of trying to think relatively, like, did I enjoy this movie more than that one? Like it's an impossible question for a lot of movies. But I enjoy it, right? But it's like as soon as I try and take it the step further into making a video on it, then I'm lessening the experience of every movie I'm going to watch. So like I'm trying to be more mindful of that stuff, more careful of it, making sure there are things that I'm retaining for myself and my own enjoyment and not trying to commodify and turn into content, you know? So obviously I'm recording this after the fact. It just came to mind as something that I didn't include in the video. And I don't foresee this being a thing that I ever do on a regular basis on the YouTube channel. But it's a skill that I've wanted to work towards since I was a teenager, probably like 13. So like pretty well 20 years. And only in the last year and a half did I ever start trying to learn using YouTube tutorials and things. And then now maybe in the last 6 to 8 months trying to take it more seriously and seeing more significant progress. And again, it's just a thing that I figured I need hobbies and interests outside of the internet and that I wanted to work towards. So with that tease in place, I'm going to go into something probably a little unexpected here, and I'll add a little backing music so it's less embarrassing.
My life, you've always been there. Now you're gone, left my head spinning. Left the childhood, left the memories, left the good times in the past. Moving on, your time has run out.
So yeah, little dedication there to M Shadows, who is probably my favorite harsh vocalist ever since I was a teen. Avenged Sevenfold kind of became my entry point into the hardcore scene, and now all these years later, I probably listen to more metal music than anything else, so learning how to scream is something I've always wanted to do, and I've kind of been working towards. I don't even know if that's really my best, but that's what I got for today, and I feel like the improvement is happening pretty continuously these days, and I thought it would be kind of fun to share, as off-putting as that may have been to many of you. Now is probably a good time to thank Elon Musk for killing Twitter. I spent way too much time on that stupid garbage site, and it like overnight became 20 times worse than it ever was, 100 times, I don't know. It always sucked, and it always had stuff in there that would like frustrate you and rage bait and whatnot, but that was balanced with people being funny and creative and interesting news and all that sort of stuff, so I stayed on it and checked it all the time. Now it's like I post on there for the sake of plugging upcoming games, and otherwise I just kind of stay off of it. I use Blue Sky, but even that's, you know, it's not quite the idyllic utopia that it started as, but it's at least better and it's at least kind of fun. But like Twitter is just garbage now, and so like I hate using it. And so it's kind of nice to just like not engage with that or not participate in that, because everything around us kind of sucks these days. So like why would I place myself in a situation where I'm just going to be constantly confronted with how shitty things are and how shitty people can be? But then also like 90% of it is just bots anyways. So like, what do I care what some bot says that's clearly just trying to rage bait for engagement or whatever? Like, it's just trash. If you think you're spending too much time on Twitter, you are. So just get off of it, you know? But then coming back from some of that stuff, balancing back out, it was around August that like after like a couple dedicated months of like physiotherapy and things, I was like, I'm gonna pick a nice softball video. So that was when I did the 50 browser-based billiards games. I thought that was a really fun concept. I liked putting it together. It came out super long, which I think was probably a big part of why it didn't do very well, but I didn't really see a way to shorten it that would make it something other than what I wanted it to be. And you know, I just want videos on the channel to be what I want. So I hammered that one out, and it was fun for me. I followed it up with a video that was very much something I planned to make much more quickly after the Flash Games Are Back video, which is just like an explanation of the rise and fall of the golden age of Flash and kind of where it fell off and why it's coming back a little bit, explaining some of the lingo for people who didn't grow up in that time. I'm really happy with that video. I think I did a good job of keeping it short as someone who's frequently quite verbose. And it didn't do that well either, but I'm proud of that video. I think it serves a valuable purpose. Maybe I just got to retool the thumbnail or something, because I'm happy with that one. Then right around that time, I knew that the Jackbox Naughty Pack was coming up, so I knew I kind of had to tackle that one next. But also, I was staring down the barrel of like, I guess this would have been in late July, that I was 2 months out from Madness Day, and I get comments all the time still. It's followed me through, I think, multiple of these year-end wrap-up videos that I'm still working on it. I'm still making the Madness Part 2 video. Like, I still want that video to come out. I'm not abandoning it. Like, it's going to happen. And it was 2 months left until Madness Day, which is the cutoff I set for myself. And I was like, this is going to be a lot of work, but if I start chipping away at it, small little chunks, take the stuff I've already done before and just see it through. Just get it done. Just prioritize getting it done. Because I was like, if I don't finish it this year, then who the hell knows? Like, the fact that I'm starting to take some eggs out of the YouTube basket, it was like, I don't want that to never be finished. I've been promising it for so long. I got to do it. And then fast forward like a month, there was a month left until Madness Day, and I had hardly done anything. 'Cause, like, I was still focusing on myself. I had to go take some time for that Jackbox video, other commitments. Like, so then all of a sudden it was a month left, and I was like, all right, well now I just have to knuckle down. And like, I just spent days and days and days writing what I wanted that video to be, polishing it up, trying to really piece things together. I hired out Wendell, who has edited various things for me in the past, to take on the editing. So I was like, it's never going to happen. I'm not going to be able to do it. Hit up some YouTuber friends to fill in some of the voice roles for the many people I interviewed, because I thought that would be a cool way to add to the video. Very thankful to them. They all helped me out on pretty short notice there. That was really awesome. And just really focused on getting it done rather than making it perfect, because it had followed me so long that I think I was like, I need this to be perfect. And that's just not the right mindset to be in, especially for someone who, I don't know. Anyways, I focused on getting it out there. I got it out in time. It didn't perform that well. I didn't know if I ever expected it to. The focus was just on finishing it. I just needed that to be done. I am happy with it, I should say. I'm very happy with how it came together. And I think just pushing through with a deadline was very helpful for me. I don't think it was getting done in any other way. So it was a rush job like crazy, and it was getting worked on until like the minute it was uploaded, basically, which is not ever what I meant to happen, but it doesn't matter because I count that one as a success. Shortly after that, it was the Jackbox survey scramble, and I was like, yeah, same thing. I'll do like a 1-2 day turnaround on that one. Really quick thoughts on that. And then from there, it was kind of like, well, now we're in the home stretch of the year. I got a few ideas of things I want to do, and like trying to pick and choose what I thought would be a good video to maybe end the year on, video or two. But I had publishing commitments, and the more that I debated which video to make next, the more I split my focus in a way that just resulted in kind of nothing getting done. And then I eventually just threw my hands up and was like, whatever, I'll focus on publishing stuff. YouTube has not been a priority for me this year. The very, very end of the year when things are busy is not the time to try and pick it back up. So my time spent on this site dropped off pretty dramatically in the last half of the year, but then especially at the very, very end of the year. Two Left Frames got pretty well abandoned around October. Not intentionally, not permanently. It just could not be a priority for me at the time. So now, after rambling all that out with no notes or script or anything to go off of, normally I don't script these out, but I usually give myself bullet points at least. All this has been in my mind for months and months and months. So I was like, whatever, I'll just sit down and ramble. Why not? Now I got to think about what I want 2025 to look like. And honestly, right now at this minute, I don't really have goals. I have ideas. I have things I'd like to do, but I think I'm past putting pressure on it. I think I've said that before, and have meant it to various degrees, but it feels more resolute now than ever. Like I knew I wanted to take 2024 easier and maybe play it a little riskier and just kind of experiment. And now this year, it's like I have a list of things that I've started that it would make sense to finish. I have a very like funny kind of cheeky Undertale video that I'd like to do. I still, it's like half finished and has been for a couple years. It's not like a deep dive theory video or anything. It's pretty silly. I don't want to spoil it, but I might as well dust that off and finish it. Around the time of the Friday Night Funkin' Weekend one, a lot of people were like, I don't really know like Nene and Darnell's deal. So I started putting together a flashlight on the history of those characters. And that was like half done. I might as well like finish that off. And I have a couple lingering things, 2 left frames here or otherwise, that it's like I'll just kind of chip through those. I've set myself up a new daily schedule for like my Monday to Friday that tackles publishing priorities first, works through whatever I had planned for that, and then the leftover time is like I'll just spend on YouTube. And I'll just at any given time have the thing that I've staked out as a top priority, and I'll just put hours towards that. And if that ends up taking a month or a week, I'll just chip away at it, and I'll just make sure that the focus is being happy with what I'm putting out, and that it's something that feels like worth watching, and with less focus on chasing trends and whatnot. Another thing I do want to try to do that I'm trying not to attach too much weight to or treat it as a thing that I insist on getting done or whatever, because I'm just not, that's not how I'm going to approach the channel. Not this year, probably not again, ever, is the like the Gaster Eggs, Easter eggs videos on Undertale. I started this channel with one on the ruins because I was like, that'll be a really easy way to bring people over from my Let's Play channel who have started to know me for this Easter egg stuff and kick off this channel in that way. And it worked out long term, not immediately, but long term it super worked out. Then I eventually did a couple of them for Snowden, this dog secret shrine. I did those relatively close together, like 500,000 views each, but then things were starting to gear up with Deltarune, so I kind of needed to refocus on that. And then I burnt myself out on the series like crazy. I tried to pick it back up way later, and I made the first video on Waterfall with like a really like I just got to get it done mentality, and I made so many mistakes. It was so sloppy, and so I took that video down. And a year after that, so in 2023, I remade the video correcting those mistakes and expanding on things. But at that point, it didn't really perform that well, and so my motivation dropped right back off again, and I was juggling other things with YouTube. But it bothers me to leave that incomplete, especially when my like big compiled videos on Deltarune Chapter 1 and 2 so frequently get comments. And I'm not just like going back to it for the sake of the views or whatever, all of that is nice, but the frequency with which I get comments where people are like, this is my 4th time watching this 6-hour video, and like, thank you so much for compiling this, and those sorts of things is really encouraging to me. And it's like, well, these mean something to people, and it's like kind of a interesting personal challenge for myself. And with Toby saying with full certainty that Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 are coming out this year, it's like I might try and dip my toes back in there and see if I can finish or at least make significant progress on those Undertale videos before those come out. Because like, I can't help myself. As much as I'm de-emphasizing YouTube right now, when like Chapter 3 and 4 drop, I'm going to do the usual thing. I'm going to go all in on those like day in, day out for weeks, and really try and cover that as quickly and effectively as possible, because it's fun. It's so fun to do that with you all. And having the Undertale videos done before then, if I can, would just help guide those so much. It would be such a complete feeling series at that point. And like, so at some point I'm hoping to pick that back up, because I think it would be a fun challenge, and just for the completionist in me that wants to see those done. But I can't promise any of that, because like I just am not trying to promise anything with YouTube anymore. I want to pick Let's Plays back up, I want to put more time into that, but I'm just trying to not sweat it. There's enough to worry about in my life and with my business, and YouTube is increasingly a hobby. And I got to treat it as such, because it's too stressful to treat it as 2 separate jobs and trying to equally show up for both of them, So that's 2025. I have like a bunch of stuff that I want to do. I'm not going to promise any of it because I'm still going to prioritize myself, my friendships, my relationships. That's just where I want that effort to be going. And I hope that others who are struggling with that, with a work-life balance or deciding where they should put their effort, I always thought that I was prioritizing myself, and I thought I was looking after myself physically and mentally, and it's interesting how little it took to kind of break that down and for me to realize ways in which I was letting myself down on such a regular basis, and then the ways that that extends to those around you, that you're not showing up for them because you're not really showing up for yourself. And so it's kind of the big lesson I've had from the last year. And yeah, I don't know if I could really put it better than that. That's really shifted my my attitude towards all of this. And it's lessons I think I'll probably carry forward for the rest of my life, and that I hope result in more fun, more interesting stuff around here, because you guys don't want to hear big hour-long rambles about doing stretches. So you guys can all just know in the background I'm doing the hard work, and I'll try to make sure it's the creative efforts and things that are making their way onto the channel. So yeah, I don't really know what it's going to look like, but I'm looking forward to taking it easy and trying to make sure the value of what I'm putting out is higher, whenever that may be. No promises. Thank you all so much for watching. For anyone who watched this whole thing, these year-end summary videos pull like a couple thousand views, maybe tops. So shout out to anyone who sat down and listened to all this. Tell me a little bit about your year. You ever had any crazy chronic injuries you had to work through? Played any cool games? I'm playing Midnight Suns right now. I've been chipping away on that on the side just for my own sake. I'm having fun with that. Tell me about it. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you all again soon.